Hey YouTube, what is going on? It is Epic Big Bird. I've got another Rome 2 commentary to do for you today. In this battle, you can see here I've gone with a Carthage build. I will actually be facing off against Galatia in this battle. You can look at my opponent's build if you, or my the army my ally will be going up against here. I would like to note his Syrian archers there though. But yeah, you can see I don't play as Carthage very often, so I was kind of experimenting around. I've also been doing a little bit of experimenting with my skirmishing tactics. What we have here is we have three of the mercenary, I think these are Celtic skirmishers, I can't remember, and then two mercenary Cretan archers. Was just gonna try and play with the two and see what worked better for each. I kind of had a theory going into the battle. I've said in previous videos that these Balearic slingers are better used for lightly armored, usually kind of like an anti-skirmisher unit. That's what a slinger is. And I kind of have a theory that these mercenary Cretan archers, they have a lot higher damage, so I think they'll be better used against maybe infantry, something with a little bit heavier armor. So I was actually initially going to bring them to counter any heavy cavalry he brought, because you can see, as what's kind of typical with my builds, I don't usually go very heavy on the cavalry due to how expensive it usually is. So for my cavalry I only have two noble cav. So let's go over my build real quick. I brought three African pikemen. Again, excuse me guys, sorry. Just experimenting with some builds. Backing them, we have four Libyan infantry. Going into this battle, I was kind of thinking that Galatia's swords would be superior to the Libyan infantry. And I believe they are. Can we look at Galatia's stats? Okay, so it's a pretty close fight, but yeah, it's a pretty close fight. That melee defense is so high on Galatian legionnaires. That's impressive. But anyways, yeah, so I have three Balearic slingers, two Cretan archers, three African pikes, the four Libyan infantry, my general and bodyguard. We've got a set of African war elephants and two noble cav. And my build strategy was basically, I didn't think I had a very superior infantry corps. I'm still experimenting with how to use these pikemen effectively with swords. So my elephants they're a very expensive unit. We all know that to begin with. And I wanted them to be what breaks the back of my army, or my opponent's army. So basically my pikes were just going to hold them in place. My swords were going to fill any gaps, and then my hopefully my African war elephants would be able to crush the cavalry with support from archers, and my anti-cav noble cav, since they're shock cav. You can see Galatia's advancing here, and they have brought 1, 2, 3, 4. We're gonna wait till they advance a little bit further. I know they have more than that. But anyways, at this point in the battle, my ally actually said, he advised me that I should probably come closer to him because it appeared that Egypt was advancing towards me. And that looks about accurate. It looked like they were planning on kind of coming at me from two angles. So I decided to pull back. You can see over here, Egypt's engaging, or playing around with these Swabian units over here with this Ptolemaic cav. Swabia has a lot of hidden units around here, but the bulk of Egypt's army is heading towards me, so I'm getting a little overwhelmed here. Here comes Galatia's army into view. Let's go into slow motion so we can get a good view of it. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Galatian legionnaires. Then he has 3 levy freemen, and then he brought 1, 2, 3, I believe 4, 5, 6 Galatian raiders, which is a light missile cav, and I believe they're like a javelin cav. So pretty scary unit. I feel like he was intending. He's got a pretty strong build, if I would say so. And what you can see he's doing is he's actually forcing his army up into the woods. Looks like he's going to be seeking even ground since I've now postured on a hill. So that's a smart move. And these javelin cav I was quite afraid of them because they're light, they're very fast, and they're they're a very good counter to my very expensive elephants. So I'm gonna go back into fast forward mode here, guys. Sorry about that. But you can see here Egypt's actually advancing close to me. He's targeting my cav there, and you can see I actually issue a command order just in the nick of time. I get the noble cav out of there like just as that first volley was coming, so I got pretty lucky. I'm gonna pull them back up over the hill. I'm gonna say right now, guys, my micro is incredibly terrible in this game, but I'm going to try and explain my strategies as best I can. So you can see here though, Egypt is kind of positioning themselves in this like really bad downwards slope with this tree cover that I am getting from his archers. So I'm gonna move my slingers forward because look at these Numidian bowmen just ripe for the picking, like sitting out in the open. I'm gonna bring my noble cav back too in case his infantry decides to advance or anything. And then I decide I'm gonna focus fire these Numidian bowmen. He actually, this is not a smart decision. He decides to exchange with my Numidian bowmen, or with my slingers. Yeah, like I said earlier, Numidian bows aren't even meant to be a skirmisher. You want slingers. So slingers should win in this fight anyways. I'm not sure about the numbers, but you can see here I'm focus firing him, and look at just how fast these numbers are dropping. That was one volley, and that unit's down to half strength. Alright, slow motion time. Sorry, guys. You can see here, look at these Galatian raiders and how my Galatian opponent is posturing. He is being very aggressive. Look at this. He's advancing with these Galatian raiders very aggressively. He's coming. He's being very threatening with these Galatian raiders to my mercenary slingers. And this is forcing me to respond very, very quickly. You can see here my mercenary Cretans are in danger right now. I am scrambling my Libyan infantry over there to try and stop that charge. I'm throwing my noble cav in there trying to ward them off. You can see here I'm ordering my slingers to pull back. Here my Galatian raider, or my Libyan infantry is attacking. This is a pretty good demonstration right here. You can see that Pila throw, even though they were moving, I still killed about 3 or 4 of them on that Pila throw. So that's pretty impressive. You can see here my African pikes though were on the hill, and they're coming forward, and just in the nick of time we managed to save our slingers from that charge. So that was very, very close, and we do get we kill 1 or 2 horses. You can see he pulls right out of there. He doesn't waste any time. Okay, so we kill another 2 or 3 horses on that charge. Look at this though, he's getting free stationary shots on my African war elephants. I'm going to respond by getting precision shots on that last unit. You can see 2 shots from those bowmen that cut that unit down by 15 horses. That's pretty impressive. So yeah, I'm kind of feeling that these Cretan archers are really, really good to use against cavalry. But you can see here again he's posturing himself very interestingly. Let's take a look. Oh no, his army's gone. Yeah, so I assume at this point he's in the woods. He's being very mysterious about how his army's forming. I'm expecting them to come out of these woods like this and attack me on open ground. You can see here his Galatian raiders are being very aggressive on that flank, making sure that it's secured, and these guys are just kind of sitting out of range. Now you can also see Egypt has backed off. You can see we totally annihilated 2 of their bowmen. Like, look at all these dead bowmen. And if we take a look at the casualties to our slingers, I believe we're pretty much still at full strength. Alright, we lost a guy there, we lost 5 there. Yeah, so we're doing pretty healthy. You can see Galatia sneaks his raiders into the woods there. I'm not even sure if I noticed that. And you can see he's starting to posture his infantry corps. They're starting to emerge from the forest. Now again, notice how he has these Galatian raiders just posturing in the middle of the, just being very neutral, you know, just standing, keeping my attention. So if you take a look at my army, I am very disorganized. I have my opponent has scared me flat out, and I've pulled my elephants onto the highest point of the hill to force these raiders, if they want to take shots at them, to, you know, have to come as close to my army as possible. Now you can see here, I actually shift my infantry line to respond to his own emerging line, and that's turning my flank perfectly for these raiders. And you can see here, I was actually moving my elephants to respond here, and I remembered just in the nick of time, I was like, oh my gosh, where are those raiders? And they just popped a dead sprint. They were going for my African war elephants. And again, look at, I'm going to have to scramble here to save my army. I'm going to throw all of my Libyan infantry at these raiders. Again, he's captivated me all on these raiders. Look at this. Now his other raiders are coming in, being very, very aggressive. I noticed it just in the nick of time. I pull some raiders back, but look at this. Some Libyan infantry back. He's going to get into the back of these Balearic slingers, but I respond with my pikemen just in the nick of time. Look at that. Perfect exchange on his part. Perfect. He gets in, he gets out. That was very impressive. I'm going to respond. I'm going to get my slingers firing as fast as possible. But you can see he's not even taking that much damage because they're light missile cav. Look, they're just hauling, they're just moving through this map, and like unhindered. My slingers can't even shoot to like hit them because they're moving so fast. There, his Galatian raiders got a little too close to my elephants, and I decided to go at them. They're also being targeted by my slingers, and you can see we got a decent number of those raiders there, so we desperately needed an exchange. Here his raiders are firing on my elephants, but they're under the cover of the trees, so that's about the best we can do at this point. There you can see we respond with a very heavy volley of archers, and that's going to knock a lot of those raiders down due to their unarmored health, their unarmored units, excuse me. And we're going to try and pretty much just rinse and repeat here, trying to pull these raiders into missile range and just focus fire them, and you can see that's pretty much working. Most of his raiders are now gone. They're pulling into the forest, which is going to be a problem. This is where my opponent kind of makes a mistake. Look at how he kind of avoids the woods, and he's opting to fight me uphill. So I'm going to respond by pushing forward my pikes. You can see he still has a pretty decent amount of raiders, and those are still just focused on my African war elephants. You can see he's killed 6 of them, so he's being very diligent in attacking my raiders and being successful. But you can see here, I'm going to force him into an engagement. I'm going to take advantage of the superior ground. So you can see I've thrown my pikes, and my pikes are holding about 3 units in place right now, which is pretty cool. That one unit was. Over here though, we have a pretty huge blob of Galatian legionnaires backed by spears and heavy horse. And all of our infantry is now committed basically down here. We have a bunch of slingers ripe for the picking that are being guarded by only my elephants and my general and my cav over here in the woods, which are being mismicroed. You can see his general's going to take advantage of that right now. But due to the height advantage, our Libyan infantry are winning decisively in this battle, so that's good. And Galatia's now forming up on even ground, and if they play position properly, he will be able to turn this entire field on me and take the hill from me. Now you can see here I'm responding with my noble cav. They only lost about 7 men, and his general's following. You can see he's mobilizing his Galatians, just like I said, trying to crest the hill and come down. He gets a hold of some African pikes here, and I have he bypasses the slingers and goes straight for my infantry corps, taking the downhill advantage, like I said. Now I have inferior infantry here fighting his Galatian legionnaires. Like, these pikes will not hold very long, so what I'm doing now with my slingers and my Cretan archers is I'm focus firing as hard as I can. Over here we've taken an engagement with his general, and you can see my general is going to reinforce that fight. We're going to try as hard as we can to kill that barbarian general, because we know that's huge morale. We know that's a huge morale blow to these barbarian factions. Now look at this Galatian legionnaire. It's stationary and unmoving. Over here we have a pretty decent front with our pikes. They're losing, excuse me, with our slingers, but we just freed up this whole infantry body. Galatian Legionnaires are stationary, we're going to focus fire them while we can on this flank. And I just want to show you how much damage this focus fire does to these Galatian Legionnaires. Look at how fast they start dropping. You can see here my opponent's reinforcing this fight with these these Galatian Legionnaires. Over here, his general is actually holding his own against my own general and these noble cav. But you can see here we managed to rout those Galatian Legionnaires just off of archer fire alone, and it took a couple of volleys from these two units, but these are Cretan archers, and they were doing a pretty decent amount of damage. And that's only 2 units. You can see we're just going to rinse and repeat again, going after these Galatian Legionnaires, just trying to hold them into a fight long enough for my main infantry body surviving from defeating these Galatian Legionnaires. You can see his general's finally losing, probably due to fatigue and exhaustion. And I'm still going to just focus fire on these Galatian Legionnaires. And you can see his general finally routs there. His Galatian Legionnaires are routing, and there's the battle, guys. So that was a really, really interesting battle, if I do have to say so myself. I give props to my opponent, my Galatian opponent, who, you know, he definitely had superior micro in that battle. I would give it to him. I felt like I was playing extremely defensively, and I was scrambling to save my slingers the entire game. Unfortunately for my opponent, it was the light armor of his Galatian Raiders that outdid him. I was able to pull off some quick micro moves to fend off those Raiders, like you saw with the pike maneuvering. I was using my infantry as screens. That was very, very hard, and you can see that I failed in several parts of the video. He got very nice charges into my slingers, so I give props to my opponent. That's definitely how you want to be using those types of slinger, javelin, cav. So yeah, but let's take a look at my battle stats here. You can see my Libyan infantry did much better than I expected them to do, and I think, you know, that's probably because they were fighting downhill for the most part. But you know, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I was kind of under the assumption that these Libyan infantry aren't the best infantry in the game, so please let me know in the comments below. I would love to gain a little bit more insight. So alright guys, thank you so much for watching my video. This has been Epic Big Bird. Have a nice day.